Thank you, Coach. Would you like to start with questions today?
Sure, Racco, whatever you want.
All right, we'll start with questions. Questions for Rick? Any step go.
You mean Ernest Hemingway?
I just got a little bored. Rick, Jalen, obviously, he'd be, a full-time starter at a lot of places in this league, but he fits so well with you guys coming off the bench like he does. I'm wondering how you kind of divvy up the ball handling as opposed to being the off guard when he's on the floor with Luka.
Well, we give these guys a lot of latitude and freedom to be creative. A lot of that stuff organically takes care of itself. Some of it happens through play calling and situations that you may want to try to attack with a certain opponent. But my big thing with this group over the last 3 years, we're gonna give you guys a lot of responsibility, a lot of space to be creative and to figure out different ways to play together, so that we can play as randomly as possible, because that's the hardest kind of stuff to guard. Jalen's got a good feel for that. Luka's obviously a master of that, and with Jalen and Tim Hardaway coming off the bench, we essentially have 7 starters, which is a good situation for us.
Allie?
Is there any update you have on KP?
Yeah, he's doing better today. He's going to travel and believe he's going to play tomorrow.
Okay, great. And I guess yesterday with KP out and, with the chance that he could, be out again in back-to-backs and whatnot down the road, how much do you focus on the production in scoring, making up for him in the front court with the players you have? I think like Nico, Maxey, and Dwight combined for only about 4 points last night. How much do you focus on them being able to pick up KP's scoring production versus it kind of, fusing throughout the roster?
Really, we're talking mostly about defense and about our physical disposition defensively and guarding situations effectively. It's not a math equation in terms of who's going to score the points for our bigs. Even when KP is playing, we want a balance with our, dispersion of shots. We want, a lot of different guys getting quality shots. But in a case like last night, everything's got to start with your defense. And, when you're doing good things defensively, the offense tends to flow. And so that's my philosophical view of it. When a guy like KP is out, you do have a void. But our guys tend to find guys that are open, and, we work at finding ways to make up the difference.
Tim McMahon?
Rick, what do you think is the reason that Luka's step back has become so much more efficient really over these last 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, I think it's work. I think he's put work into it. He's put a lot of time in the weight room with, functional strength training and, normal strength training. His conditioning has gotten better and better and better as the season has gone on. I think we've done a pretty good job of spacing his rest games, and all those are factors. But it comes down to the fact that he's put the work in. He's spent the time on it, and I did see that stat. It's like 4 or 5% better this year than it was last year, or something like that. And you don't have that kind of improvement if you're not putting the work in.
Mark Followell.
Rick, good afternoon. Getting back to the point about defense a minute ago that you were talking about in answer to Callie's question, how do you evaluate a guy like Melly's game last night? Because clearly you liked what he was doing defensively. He played over 30 minutes, but yet he didn't score and he was missing some shots. So how do you evaluate that? And how do you encourage a guy like Nico that you are having a good game and you are contributing even when the shots aren't falling?
Yeah, look, he's a hard playing veteran. I mean, it's only his second year in the NBA, but this guy's been playing professional basketball in a lot of big time games for a long time. He understands that NBA basketball, like international basketball, is a process oriented game. In the games over there, I mean, they're even more pressurized because they're shorter. They're 40 minutes instead of 48, playing probably 2 games a week instead of 3 or 4. So, but look, last night, some of it's the eye test and what he was doing with physical play and chasing guys off screens. And also, we've got live metrics during games. I mean, after the game, his on-off, when he was on the floor, we were defending at a .83 clip. And he was by far the best guy on the entire team that played last night. So, that was a metric that really kind of put it over the top. We had a lot of guys play well defensively last night, but he was he did it in a little bit different kind of way, and I've been really impressed at how he's been able to be such a versatile defender. Like against Bertans in the Washington game, I mean, there's a guy that's a hard guy to chase around. And he was right on his tail all night. I think he only was able to get off 1 clean 3 against Nico. And so he's strong defending the post. He moves his feet better on the perimeter than you think. He's done well in a lot of switching situations that have happened in the last week. And I mean, you think about it. There's a lot going on here. I mean, he got traded to us. Hell, it wasn't even a week ago. And, already he's in the thick of it. And so he started a couple games. So, he's done a really solid job, and we see ways that he can keep improving.
Tim Cato.
Hey, Rick, you just mentioned functional strength training versus normal. I've heard you talk about it before a few times, so I'm just curious what your read or assessment of the difference between those two are.
Well, functional training, this is just my, attempt at a definition, is, more based, in the balance area. You're doing strength training, but there's a balance element to a lot of it. That tends to translate better to a game like basketball, where, athletes are moving very quickly in a lot of different directions, and their bodies are contorting a lot of different ways. We do some, straight strength training as well. I mean, really, the guy should be asking is Jeremy Holsopple or Casey Smith. I mean, I'm a layman when it comes to this kind of stuff. But, back when I was playing, there was a universal gym and maybe a few dumbbells, and in most gyms you went in. Now you've got dumbbells, you've got kettlebells, you've got all kinds of stretch bands. Stretch cord training is another, important part of functional training, because there's a balance element, and there's an element of resistance that's different than getting through a sticking point of lifting a regular weight. So, it's a pretty multifaceted, answer that sounds like a lot of bullshit, actually, but that's my take on it, and that's what I've seen, and I've done a lot of this stuff too in recent years, and it is different, and it helps the body stay together better.
We'll do one more. Walt Chisholm.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Good.
First time for me and you right here. I'm gonna make sure I do this right. So, you guys have been what I like to call Dub City. You guys have been winning a lot of games. You won one. They won one while you were gone. Then they just beat the best team in the Western Conference. How does that make you feel as a coach? It seems like the locker room is buying more into the message of what you got going on right now.
Yeah, listen, I mean, gosh, I've been around this league a long time. Now as a head coach, 19 years. The statement that you just made, feeling pretty good, things going well, it's always an indicator to me that you got to keep your guard up. I watched Houston's game with Phoenix this morning, their game from last night. Houston's a team that's lost a lot of games over the last 2 months, but they're playing better and better. They've been in a lot of close games. They've made some trades. They've got Olenek. They've got some other guys in the fold. They got John Wall getting ready to come back. So my focus on, okay, what's next? And we've got to keep our guard up headed into Houston. Tonight, flying in there, and then for the game tomorrow. But look, we're always working on being better communicators around here. We've got a great coaching staff. We've got a great support staff. The players have been busting their butts. Working through a stretch that started a couple months ago where we had to make up ground, and there's been some good things, but you can never let up, and you can certainly never take anything for granted.
All right. Thank you, Coach.